The dictionary offers the following definition for the word lyricism: a quality that expresses deep feelings or emotions in a work of art. Our concerts this week, I think, give us three different ways of looking at and listening to that quality of lyricism. We have music by Samuel Barber, Sergei Prokofiev, and Peter Tchaikovsky, conducted by guest conductor Marin Alsop, the music director of the Baltimore Symphony Orchestra. So let's start with Barber. The Second Essay for Orchestra begins our concert. It's a work he wrote in the depths of World War II in 1942. Barber expressly said there was no program for this short orchestral work, but that you might hear the sounds of war. So what about the lyricism in Barber? An American composer, born in Pennsylvania, very conservative, very private man in his public life. But in his music, when he did open that door to his heart, the emotions flooded out in a kind of American lyricism that is unique to our country. It's a little bit like Copland, but not quite. It's a little bit like Bernstein, but not quite. It is a kind of tightly wound but beautifully spun piece of cloth that you will admire not only for its craft, but for the residual feeling it gives you long after the music is gone. The second work on our program is the Concerto No. 2 for violin and orchestra by Sergei Prokofiev. Julian Rachlin is the soloist, a wonderful Lithuanian-born violinist who has been a frequent guest with the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra. Prokofiev wrote this work in 1935. By this point, he'd been mostly absent from Russia since the revolution of 1917, and he was longing to return home. As a matter of fact, he would for good the next year, 1936. Prokofiev's lyricism is long-limbed and almost endless in its breadth. Yet at the base of it there is always a slight tinge of melancholy or nostalgia. It's not as overt a melancholy or nostalgia as we have, let's say, in Rachmaninoff, whose music we heard last week, but it's there, couched in perhaps very cosmopolitan and elegant clothing. But that kind of lyricism that has the tinge of regret at its base is always present in Prokofiev, even in his most lively moments. And then there is the finale to our concert, Tchaikovsky's musical Last Will and Testament, his Symphony No. 6 in B minor, the Pathétique. Tchaikovsky wrote it in the fall of 1893, conducted the premiere on the 28th of October, and died just 10 days later. It is his musical Last Will and Testament. We'll never know if he knew it was going to be that, but he did write to his brother Modeste that he felt it was the finest work that he had created thus far in his life. And Tchaikovsky's melodic gift and his lyricism is unmistakable, unique in all of 19th century orchestral music. Perhaps like no other, he had an ability to create a melodic line that was immediate in its emotional impact, whether it was of frightful energy, like the march of this symphony, or of incredible passion and sadness, as the long adagio that concludes this symphony shows so powerfully. Many years ago, I had the chance to look at a facsimile of the manuscript of this symphony, shown to me by a wonderful young Russian conductor. And he pointed to the very last page and the very last bar of this symphony. This symphony closes with an endless descent into silence. And then there is nothing but silence. Because after the last note in the manuscript of the score, Tchaikovsky writes the musical sign fermata, a little half circle and a dot, which means when it falls over a musical note, you hold that note at will until you feel it's right to move on. It's a conductor's choice or a soloist's choice if it's a solo piece. This fermata occurs after the music is over. It's as if Tchaikovsky is saying, the silence after this lasts forever. I hope you enjoy our concerts. See you in Symphony Hall.